The story follows Melissa, a bright high school girl with a sweet and curious personality. She loves cultural performances, enjoys her time with friends, and shares even her homemade pancakes with them, showing just how warm and friendly she is. Melissa lives with her mother and grandmother in a home full of love and care. One morning, her mom gently wakes her up so she doesn't get late for school. Later that day, Melissa and her friends visit a male friend's house, where several guys are swimming. Among them is Arnaldo, a handsome young man who immediately catches Melissa's eye. He invites her to join them in the pool. Trying to get his attention, Melissa does something bold. She takes off her clothes and walks toward the water, pretending she doesn't know how to swim, just so Arnaldo will come to her rescue. And of course, he does. After their playful swim, the two sit together in the garden overlooking the sea. It's a quiet, beautiful moment. Arnaldo promises he'll teach her how to swim someday. During their talk, Melissa acts shy but clearly smitten. When Arnaldo asks her age, she tells him she's just 15. There's a spark between them, a mix of innocence and curiosity, and Arnaldo can sense her growing feelings for him. He gently asks what she really wants from him. But before anything could happen, Arnaldo leaves and never comes back. That summer turns into one of the loneliest times for Melissa. She doesn't see him again, and his absence lingers in her heart. When school starts again, Melissa walks into class with her friend. As the teacher takes attendance, a new boy walks in. Since all the seats are taken, he's asked to sit alone in the front row, catching everyone's attention, including Melissa's. At home, after taking a bath, Melissa's grandmother lovingly helps her dry and comb her hair. Just then, her mom calls out. Her father is on the phone, calling from far away. Back at school during PE, the students are doing exercises. Melissa climbs a tall wooden pole, unaware that as she does, she feels a strange, new physical sensation, something she's never experienced before. Her body reacts, and a few of her classmates notice it, teasing both her and a boy who couldn't hide his reaction either. After school one day, Melissa's friend invites her to a bar. As she steps inside, her heart skips a beat, because right there she sees Arnaldo again, the guy she hasn't been able to forget since that summer. She quietly hopes he'll notice her, and to her surprise, he does. Arnaldo walks up with his usual charm, greets her warmly, and without much hesitation, invites her to his house. At his place, Arnaldo begins flirting with her, gently touching her cheek and whispering teasing compliments. Once they reach his empty house, things quickly escalate. Arnaldo starts undressing her and asks a blunt question, whether she's still a virgin. Melissa, innocent and trusting, admits softly that she's still original, that no one has ever touched her before, but what happens next shatters her world. Arnaldo takes advantage of her vulnerability and they end up being intimate. Afterwards, without a word of care or emotion, he leaves, just like that. Melissa sits there, heartbroken and empty. The man she had romanticized, the one she thought she loved, turns out to be nothing more than a hunter of innocent girls. Unable to bear the pain, Melissa pours her feelings into an email to her father, who lives far away. She tells him everything, hoping for some comfort. Soon after, Melissa, her mother, and grandmother visit a nursing home. It's a heartbreaking scene. Melissa has to say goodbye to her beloved grandmother, who's being left there for health reasons. She's angry and confused, blaming her mother for sending her away. But her mother explains through tears that it's not cruelty, it's concern. The grandmother's constant smoking and poor habits made her health decline, and this nursing home was supposed to give her a better, more structured life. Still, Melissa can't help feeling that her world is falling apart. Back at school, life tries to return to normal. The teacher asks Melissa about her homework, but she's barely present. The new boy at school couldn't take his eyes off Melissa. Every time she looked up, she'd catch him staring, not in a creepy way, but with genuine curiosity, almost as if he was drawn to her. After school, Melissa and her friend head to a cafe to hang out. But while they're chatting, Melissa's friend notices something. An older man at another table who just won't stop looking at Melissa. Instead of ignoring him, Melissa, now more daring and reckless than before, decides to stare right back. Her playful defiance catches his attention, and the man doesn't waste a second. He gets up and walks straight over to her. Melissa teases him with flirty, mischievous words. Then comes Christmas. Her grandmother returns home to spend the holidays with the family, bringing a sense of warmth back to the house. But she quickly notices that Melissa isn't the same girl anymore. There's a certain sadness, a distance in her eyes. Sensing something's wrong, her grandmother takes Melissa into her room and opens an old diary filled with photos from her youth. She gently combs Melissa's hair while sharing stories from her own past. Tender memories, lessons about love, and the mistakes she once made. Soon after, she gets a text from Arnaldo, the man who once broke her heart. He asks her to meet up, saying he's ready to have fun again. And despite knowing better, Melissa agrees. She can't resist. When they meet, things start as usual, until suddenly Arnaldo steps back and lets his friend take his place. Melissa doesn't protest. In fact, she joins in willingly, trying to convince herself this is the kind of freedom she wants. Later, she's seen back at school, sitting alone and listening to music, lost in her own thoughts. The new boy from class approaches approaches her again, trying to talk to her, maybe even connect. But before they can say much, her phone rings. It's Arnaldo's friend, the same one from the night before. He tells her to come down to the basement, and this time, Melissa goes and spends the night with multiple men. On the outside, she seems wild and carefree, laughing and pretending she's happy. But deep down, she's completely hollow. After that chaotic night, the truth becomes painfully clear. Melissa isn't having fun. She's broken. Not long after, Melissa's mother returns home. She calls out for her daughter again and again, but Melissa doesn't respond. Worried, her mother begins searching the house, and that's when she finds Melissa's diary. As she flips through the pages, her eyes widen. She begins to read her daughter's most private confessions, the things Melissa never dared to say out loud. Meanwhile, Melissa is at a hotel, preparing herself to meet one of the older men she'd been talking to. She's wearing a new outfit, trying to look confident, but underneath, she's fragile. Back at home, her mother's anxiety grows. She doesn't know where Melissa has gone. At the same time, her grandmother suddenly falls ill, forcing her mother to rush to the hospital before continuing her search for her daughter. At the hotel, Melissa waits nervously. When the man finally arrives, she realizes he's rude and aggressive, not at all what she expected. Overwhelmed and frightened, she grabs her things and runs out, leaving behind the chaos and confusion. When she finally returns home, her mother tells her that her grandmother is unconscious in the hospital. Melissa, drained and broken, barely has the strength to speak. She collapses on her bed, emotionally and physically exhausted. Her mother quietly kneels beside her, removes her shoes, and covers her with a blanket, a rare, tender moment between them. Then, in a soft voice, she asks, "Melissa, are the things written in your diary true?" Melissa doesn't answer. Tears fill her mother's eyes as, for the first time, she truly tries to understand her daughter. Finally, Melissa breaks down and confesses. She tells her mother she wants to change her life, that everything had gone wrong and she feels completely lost. When her mother hears that Melissa had been with many men, she can't hold back her emotions. She throws the diary across the room, then immediately pulls Melissa into a tight hug, crying and holding her as if she never wants to let go. That night marks a turning point. After that emotional moment, Melissa begins to heal. She starts to rebuild her life, going back to school, reconnecting with friends, and slowly rediscovering herself. One day, the new boy approaches her again, the same one who always seemed curious about her. He shows her a book, and to her surprise, there's a picture of Melissa's face inside it. Shocked and flattered, she smiles, and a genuine connection begins to form between them. Later, one night, Melissa and her friend attend a party. As the music plays and her friend dances with someone else, Melissa slips away quietly, walking toward a nearby cliff. Then, to everyone's shock, she jumps off. People scream, terrified, but a moment later, she bursts out laughing as she swims safely back to shore. It was just Melissa being mischievous again, wild, unpredictable, but alive. Time passes. Melissa's grandmother passes away, and Melissa and her mother visit her grave together.